Hello, 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 hello. Blessings, 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 YouTube. Hello, everyone. God bless you today. Welcome, welcome, welcome on my broadcast. I've been missing for a moment, but I'm here today. Let me know where you guys are coming from. Hello, let me know that you are out there. Let me know that you are on live with me today. I'm so honored and happy to be on to speak with you today, something the Lord has laid upon my heart. So I said, let me hop on here. Blessings. Let me know where you guys are hopping on from. God bless you. God bless you. Welcome, welcome. Hey, hey, hey. I see you guys are coming on. God bless you. Welcome, welcome. I know you could be doing anything anywhere else, but you have decided to hop on today. I am thankful. Blessings, blessings. Today, I am talking about being persistent and consistent, and it's so important for this marriage restoration journey. Hello, hello. Blessings, you guys. Thank you for joining me today. Let me know where you guys are coming from. I'm so happy that you guys are joining me today. Glad that you are on. God bless you. God bless you. Let me know where you guys are coming from. I see people are joining. Hey, hey, hey. So glad that you are joining me today. God bless you. Hello from Florida. Welcome. Glad to have you guys on today. New Jersey is in the house. Blessings. God bless you. God bless you. Tennessee is in the house. Welcome. Welcome, Tennessee. I welcome you virtually welcoming you guys to California. Hello from Georgia. Welcome. Yes, yes, yes. Virginia is in the house. Blessings, blessings. Glad to have you guys on today. Listen here, it's just us folks on YouTube today. I'm not broadcasting on Facebook like I usually do. I'm just coming to spend some time with you YouTube folks. Glad to have you guys on today. Yes, so glad. Sydney, Australia. Hello, hello. Yes, I'm glad to be on today. I have been missing for a while, just taking some TLC, some time off of social media to, spend some time off, regenerate, get my head together. Yes, yes, yes. Self care, as we call it. Hello, North Carolina. Thank you for coming on today. God bless you. Glad to have you on. Hello, hello. God bless you. God bless you. So, today, you guys, I'm talking about being consistent. I'm talking about being consistent because I think that's so important, especially in these days that we're in. Consistency is so important, not only for the life of your marriage, but, for your spiritual growth, development for your life. So, being consistent is something that we need to talk about today. This is my first time on live. Ooh, awesome, awesome, awesome. You caught me at a good time. Atlanta is in the house. Thank you. Thank you for coming on. Wow, I need this. God knows I need strength to stay strong and consistent. To God be the glory. Yes, to God be the glory. Holy Spirit definitely knows what we need. Something has been pressing. I said I was going to come on, and then I said, oh, I don't feel like coming on, but you know what? The Holy Spirit is leaving. So, okay, so today, you guys, Spartanburg, South Carolina is on. Is that South Carolina? Yes, hopefully. Hello, Ohio. Thank you for coming on today. God bless you. I know. It is like in the afternoon, California time. Some of you is evening where you are. So I'm so glad that you're on um to join me today. Okay, so you guys, so today I'm talking about being consistent, right? And just yesterday, let me see, yesterday, day before yesterday, my husband, he got up so excited. I mean, like a kid in the candy store, like when kids they want something And then all of a sudden they get it and then like hopping around like, oh my gosh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I got this, I got that. I was waiting so long. Do you remember when I saw, I mean, this is how my son does, you know. Oh, I saw this on the TV and I saw it in store. Now I have it. This is the best day of my life. I'm so happy, happy, happy. So that's kind of like the attitude that my husband had. And he had that attitude because he has been thinking about like this idea. He got this idea a couple weeks ago, and since he has gotten the idea, you know, someone, you know, came up to him, oh, this would be good, you know, in this time, in this season, in this place. And it was exactly what he was thinking. And then he got the idea on, you know, how to get these things done, how to do this and how to do that. And everything just was lining up, right? So, what did it have to do with being consistent? Well, let me tell you something. My husband was not only happy about the things that were manifesting and the things that were working out for him, but he was also super excited because he was like, honey, do you remember when you prayed this over me and you prayed this and you prayed that and you spoke this and you spoke that and everything you spoke is manifesting and I'm seeing it and every time I do stuff, it is work out, and it's because you said this and you said that. And he's like, do you remember? Do you remember? And I'm like, yeah, I do remember. But he was just super, super, super excited. Like every time he come up with an idea, it's like, you know, of course it comes with opposition, but eventually everything like always works out for him. And he said, honey, you remember you said something about my hands, like whatever I do it will work out. I said, yes, I decree and I declare that whatever you put your hands to do will prosper. And he said, yes. It's like I'm seeing it, like every time I just could think about when you were saying these things and praying this, and now it's like everything just happens. And so when I was, you know, I tell you guys about this all the time about how important it is to speak, you know, speak life, to decree and declare, and, you know, and to you basically prophesy these things over your husband's lives. And I know that, you know, when you're going through, when you're feeling like, oh my gosh, nothing is manifesting, so you get discouraged and oh my gosh, nothing's happening and you want to stop, you know, what you're doing, you don't have it in you to speak no more, you don't know what to pray, you don't know what to say. But let me tell you something. It's important for you to be consistent in the things that you're declaring over your husband because guess what? In the time and in the moment that you're speaking it, it do not look like nothing is happening. It do not feel like nothing is happening. But I'm telling you, something is happening because guess what? God works behind the scenes. And you have to come to a place where you trust in God so much that although you don't see it happening, look, it ain't looking like something happening, but you know, just because God said it in His Word, you know that it is happening. And when I was going through and I was decreeing and I declare that my husband shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of waters and he will bring forth fruit in his season. When I was decreeing and I declare wisdom over my husband's life, look here, none of those things was lining up what I was saying. In fact, there were so many times as if I felt like every time I say something, it's like he would go in the whole opposite direction. If I say, you kind, he would be super mean. If I say he is a loving husband, he would be so hateful towards me. I'm telling you, look, some people, you know, I know you get a shock of your life when your husband is being hateful, disrespectful, you know, he's saying all these mean things to you. But trust me, you're not the only one that is experiencing this. This is, in fact, the nature of the beast. You know, I know you guys hear it all the time. The devil have no new tricks. Trust me. I mean, for a raise of hands, let's just look in the chat. Let's see how many people can say that their husband was mean, disrespectful. I mean, some of us get cussed out. Like, look, I know it ain't only me. All right. Like, how many of you, under the sound of my voice, can say my husband was super mean, super cold, hateful, like I'm the enemy. How many you can test? See, look in the chat. So many people can testify. So when I'm telling you the devil has no new tricks, I'm not just trying to tell you this. I'm just telling you he has no new tricks. And so if I told my husband, um, you sweet, oh my gosh, he would be bitter, sour. Oh my gosh. He would cause, all the glands in my look sour. Every time I spoke something, he would always act contrary to what I have said. But guess what? Mind you, I didn't have the knowledge of this information now. So I want to make sure that this is clear, and it's important for me to make this clear because a lot of times people think that I was able to do these things or I was able to. Yes, I was called everything but a child of God. And I say that all the time. Some would say not only mean, but mentally, verbally abusive. Trust me. I mentioned the mental, the verbal, and the physical abuse. So trust me, right? So when I'm saying this because when I think about it, right? When you think about it and think about all of us that is going through this thing and all of us that is going through basically the same thing, you would realize that you're not the only one. And it's important for me to help you guys to understand that I didn't have all the revelation that I have today, the strength that, you perceive that I have. I didn't have that. I didn't have well, I don't have a PhD in theology now, but I get more experience and all that stuff now, but I wasn't even in that place where I was so knowledgeable of everything and I did these things. I was at this place where I didn't know everything. I was confused, didn't know what all to do, but I was still consistent in whatever I was doing. So a lot of times people would say, well, Meltaria, that worked for you because you're strong. Meltaria, that worked for you because you this and because you that. Listen here, the manifestation of the woman that you see here now, it's only because of what I have gone through. Okay. Let me just get that out of the way. So when I was speaking these things concerning my husband, when I was declaring these things, I wasn't declaring them because I was, fully assured and what God is going to do. I wasn't and I'm talking about not fully assured that I didn't not in a place that I didn't think God was capable of it. I know he was capable of it, right? But it was like Lord, I just need you to do this for me. This is what I want. I didn't have a promise of, this is what God was going to do. I just I don't want my husband, doing the things that he was doing. So that's what brought me to the declarations that I was declaring because, I wanted my husband to be a loving man. I wanted him to be, faithful, and I wanted all these stuff, but he was not doing that. So I made these declarations because this is what I wanted my husband to do. This is what I wanted him to be. My husband, I think that, even when my husband was in the streets, he was a very, very clever and wise entrepreneur. Of course, not in the ways that I would have liked my husband to be. You know, my husband always tried to do stuff and they would be total failures. I mean, like, don't even do that. And, he always wanted to do stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just another thing that wouldn't work. So what? I decreed and I declare. I spoke that everything that he put his hand to do will prosper. Now, I don't know if all of you guys, on the YouTube community, but I said be consistent even when you don't see the results immediately. Now, when I'm talking about the time of me decreeing and declaring, and between the manifestation of those words that I decreed and declared, I'm talking about, look, I don't want to discourage you all, but was years, okay? It was years. The time that I was making these declarations, it had to be sometime in or around 2007, 8, 9, or 10, okay? The time when I begin to see the manifestation of these things probably was around 2014, 15, 16, and beyond. So a whole and just trying to give a timeline, right? Just trying to give a timeline for you guys that it had to be 5, 6 years in between me making the declaration to me actually seeing manifestation of these declarations. And this isn't to get you guys discouraged, but more to encourage you that a lot of times you don't see the manifestation right away. A lot of times, prophetic words that were spoken over my life. Look here, some words that were spoken by like more than 10 years ago, just manifesting. That's not to discourage you, because I know we get, we start getting all, up in our head. Oh my gosh, 10 years. Oh my gosh, 7 years. Listen here. We ain't in control of time. We on God's clock, so we can't control the time. But for those of you who have been believing and been speaking life, because, we out here trying to encourage you, telling you, speak this, speak that, speak good, speak positive. We're trying to tell you this. And I know that you're getting discouraged, because I know many people say, woman of God, I've been decreeing and I've been declaring, but nothing's happening. This is where the encouragement comes in. Nothing is going to happen right away, but you still got to do it. You got to be consistent. You got to believe what you're saying. You got to say it with power. You got to say it with confidence. Like, God, look here, God, if anybody who could do this, you could do this. I decree and I declare. I decree and I declare. Because guess what? One day, you are going to see the manifestation of those declarations. As I was even thinking about this, right? I have, like, in the front of my, well, even in the front of my yard, it's like the neighbors, right? They have these trees in the front of their yards. And the trees looked real, like, look at a couple of months ago, the trees look dead. I mean, like lifeless brown. Some of the trees didn't even have leaves on it. They look totally dead. But I went out there. I was coming in from out, and it captured my eyes that the trees had some beautiful roses. I mean, like, look, they were two-tone in color. It like had yellow with a little red lining around it. And I looked at my husband and I said, wow, look how beautiful those roses were. Now, do you see them, dead trees? Or the same are you all still there? I ain't lose y'all. Y'all still, I don't want to lose y'all. I know a lot of time people say, woman of God, we just listening. But are y'all hearing me today? These trees that once looked dead were so, like, look, they produce the beautiful flowers. And even as I was thinking about be consistent even when you don't see results immediately. The neighbors, they be tending to these trees like that's their babies, and it's an elderly woman that she tend to them, she pluck them, she prune them, she takes the dead leaves off, and I'd be thinking like, oh my gosh, those plants are dead. But guess what? She is consistent in what she is doing, you know, and at the end of the day, they produce results that were just so beautiful. I mean, I'm going to post a picture of it on the YouTube status to see how beautiful this flower was. But here is the point of this. I don't see what is going on under the tree. I can't see what is going on. I only could see as far as what's on the top of the surface. But underneath, something marvelous and miraculous is going on, because they still at the springtime are able to thrive and bring forth beautiful roses. And that's what is happening a lot in our lives, you guys. There is a great working that is going on behind the scenes. While I was making the declarations, while I was speaking the positive words over my life, my marriage, my husband's life, my family, although I couldn't see it, there was something beautiful that was going on behind the scenes. And that's how God works. You know, I mean, think about it now. I don't know if any of you have done any gardening, but last year, my husband and I, we started to do some gardening, right? And we went to, where we get, I think we went to Walmart. Oh, no, no, not Walmart, Home Depot. We went to Home Depot and we got some seeds. And listen here, we put them in the ground. Now, let me tell you all something. My husband went out early in the morning and late in the night to water the ground. And, sometimes we could lack so much patience because we anxious to see what the seed is going to produce, right? And day in and day out, he watering the ground. We plant the seed. He's watering the ground day in and day out. And I'm looking like, oh my gosh, did we do something right? Is this something we supposed to do? Did we space them out correctly? Because these seems like they're taking long. Is the ground properly? Did we prepare the ground properly? Is this a right place to do it? Because I don't know. This didn't look like good ground, to plant seeds, or probably, it's probably too hot. Probably we should do this. So all these things were going on in my mind when the seeds were planted. But guess what? My husband was just consistent in watering. And one day, he came to me, right? Like, honey, 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 something popping out of the ground. And listen, when I tell you it was a little speck of green popped out of the ground, it was like, oh my gosh, like so marvelous. And being consistent, even when it started to pop out, when hit the ground, and still being consistent and watering. And now our garden that was once whole brown and dry and dusty, it had green on it and different leaves, from the seeds that we planted. But guess what? We had no idea what was going on underground. We had absolutely no idea what was transacting under the soil. We couldn't see it. All we know, what we had to do is water it. All we know that we had to every day, because we in California, so we need to do a little bit more watering than some other places. So we did our part. And when we do our part, it was up to the plant to grow. So the plant and the soil being like God's territory, because we have no control. We can't make it grow. That's why the Bible said one man plants, another man waters, but it's God that brings forth the increase. And I know sometimes we're measuring, our restoration process with someone else's restoration process. And, oh my gosh, I saw this person on YouTube when I started, and now they're talking about restoration. And, right, I'm still fighting. And oh my God. And then you get discouraged. But guess what? We planted a number of seeds, but all of them didn't grow at the same rate. All of them didn't come forth at the same time, because some seeds required more watering. Some seeds came up quicker. But does that mean that one seed wasn't going to grow? Does that mean was one that is better? Did one have more favor under the ground than the other? No, that's not what it means. It just what mean one require more work, one require more nutrition, some required more attention. It was the thing about it was, I was kind of worried, because I'm like, oh my gosh, is this the right time to plant these? Because sometimes seeds come up when it's a time, right? Sometimes August is a good time for some, bad time for others. So while we were watering and we were putting in the work with all the seeds, they didn't come out until it was their time. It didn't come out until the time was right for them. So Galatians 6 and 9, it says this: let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we faint not. Let me read that again. Galatians 6 and 9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we think not. Now, a couple of things here, right? What you're doing, fighting for your marriage, if nobody ever told you this, you are doing a good thing. Fighting for your marriage is a good thing. I know that it's against the popular, voices, because I know more people telling you crazy than telling you, hey, keep going and keep fighting for your marriage. I know that for a fact, right? I know that it's easy to find, like divorce support groups and all this stuff like that and moving forward and moving on. You know, I know they're easy to find. You could count probably the people who talk about mass marriage restoration YouTube on your hand. But look, you start counting the people who talking about divorce and how to move on from a marriage. You need your hands on your toes to count those folks. And I know that. But guess what? You have to be the one that says that I'm not going to give up, right? So let me just let you know that if you're on here, you're fighting for your marriage, your marriage is valuable to you, your husband is valuable to you, your family is valuable to you, and you're making the stance, even though you're looking crazy, even though you're all confused, you're hurt, you're trying to deal with this, you're doing a good thing, right? So what does the Bible tell us? To not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time, right? Now, even though we planted multiple seeds in the ground, and this analogy is so factual, okay? You guys can try it for yourselves. Try it for yourselves. Go ahead and go to the store and get a bunch of seeds. Plant them all at once. I assure you, they will not come out of the ground all at once, right? They will come out at its proper time. Okay? The Bible tells us that the Lord makes all things beautiful in his time, not in our time, not in my time, not in your time, certainly not in your husband's time. But he makes all things beautiful in his time, right? So it's always a particular time that is going to happen. And unfortunately, I don't know that time. You don't know that time. Like, we don't know the time. But when the time is right, the seeds knew when it was their time. They knew. I didn't know. They knew when it was their time. And guess what? Well, unfortunately, in this particular situation, my analogy, I never, well, no. I did get to reap a harvest, but I was able to, like my basil, I planted some basil. I was able to harvest basil. But because we went on vacation at the time, a lot of the plants died, unfortunately. Yeah, you guys, I'm sorry. That particular story didn't have a happy ending. But I was able to harvest basil. And the amount of harvesting that I was able to do, it was more seeds that I have planted. My God, listen here. That's a topic in itself. Okay. The amount of harvesting that I did, it was more than I have planted, more seeds that I have planted. I mean, look here, my basil tree died and rose again because when we went to Florida, the plants had died because they weren't getting the water that they were accustomed to, right? So many of the plants died, but guess what? That basil hung on by a wing and a prayer. And I was just like, look here, let's just dig it all up and plant it again. But the basil, it hung on, so I started to water it again. And then I used basil more than anything else in the garden that I was going to use. I used it for my hair. I used it to cook with, yada, yada, yada. But I harvest more than I planted, right? And a harvest, when you're thinking about a harvest, it's time to collect, baby. Yes, it's time to collect on all that hard work that you have put in, all the blood, sweat, and tears that you have gone through over the years, standing out in the hot sun, late at night, it's cold, but you're still trying to get the water in the ground, all that blood, sweat, and tears, it's time to reap the reward. So, you're at a place where you feel as if, I'm just fighting, fighting, fighting all the time. Is this worth it? Why am I doing this? Listen here, your harvest is going to be more. exceedingly abundantly above all you could ever ask or think. The pain that you are going through is nowhere to compare of the harvest that you will receive. I think that's one, you know what, to think about it. I think that because of how amazing, I really believe this, and I'm thinking about this now as I am talking, that, and I think I mentioned this to my husband. I said, you know what? One thing that has helped me with this journey is just how amazing my husband has become, right? In spite of how horrible he treated me, he just becomes such an amazing man. Like, it gave me the motivation to work on myself. It gave me the motivation to heal. It gave me the motivation to be in a good place where I can say I am moving on, because he just became this amazing man. And he wasn't always like that. People who know us now would say, oh, marriage goals, they love our relationship. They want this and they want that. They want our husband. I want my husband to be like your husband. I'd be like, look, you don't want no part of this, because you don't know what I've gone through to get here. Right? Be thankful for who your husband is, because you probably can't walk a mile in my shoe. And I'm not boasting about myself. I mean, some of you, I may not be able to walk a mile in your shoes. Don't mind me over here, because my marriage is restored. I probably couldn't go through what some of you guys are going through. But guess what? The Bible says, whom much is given, much is required. So, and thinking about it, you will reap at the proper time if you don't give up. If you do not give up. I told somebody some time ago, I said, with all the teaching that I do, the training on deliverance, the boot camp, training this, the prayers, all these training and all this stuff that I do. If I had to basically, collect it all together and just give one piece of advice, what would that be? Actually, someone asked me that, and I was like, what is really hard? It's really hard to summarize it, because there was so much things that was done collectively over the years, and it's hard to summarize it. But when I really gave it thought, I said, if I could give one piece of advice to people who are fighting for their marriage, you know what it would be? It would be, don't give up. It would be, don't give up. With all the teaching, the training, the coaching, the books and all this information that is out here, the one piece of advice that I would give people who are fighting for their marriage is, don't give up. Because I can say that's what caused me to be victorious. Just don't give up. I know we want a whole sermon. We want something where, the angels from heaven come down and just give you the book of books, and tell you this is everything you have to do. But if I could give one piece, it would be, don't give up. Be consistent, even when you don't see the results immediately. Even when you don't see, even when you're praying, you're fasting, you're declaring, and you don't see anything happening, just don't give up. Because in the proper time, you will reap a harvest if you don't give up. And some translations said, if you faint not. I mean, you're going to get tired. You are going to get discouraged. You're going to be hanging on by a wing and a prayer. But if you don't give up, eventually everything that you have spoken, everything that you have believed God for, you're going to have it. As a matter of fact, you're going to have that and more, because there are so much things that have manifested in my life that I couldn't even think to pray for. My husband has become such an amazing man. I can't even take full credit for everything, because while I can say everything that I have spoken over his life has manifested, but there are some things that I couldn't even think to pray for. There are some things that I couldn't even think to ask for, right? That's why when we hear the Bible say that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you could ever ask or think, trust me when that say that. Because there are some things, I didn't even pray for, but I got. There are some things that I was like, you know what? I couldn't even think to believe God for that. So don't give up. Be consistent. Now, woman of God, how do I be consistent? How do I be consistent? One of the things that can help you be consistent is to have your mind made up. Okay. Many of you need to take a step back. You need to step back. I know you're praying. I want my marriage restored. I want this to happen. But you know what you need to do? You need to sit down. You need to think a bit. Why are you doing this? Right? Why are you fighting for your marriage? When people come to me, and I've had a lot of people who are, friends or relatives of other people who are fighting for their marriage. And they said, Meltaria, could you pray for, my auntie and my uncle, they're going through right now. They're having a hard time. Or someone said, listen here, I need you to pray for sister so and brother so at the church. They're having a hard time in their marriage. Just keep them in your prayer. I'd be like, look, if they want me to keep them in my prayer, let one of them reach out to me, right? And it's not because I need anybody else to pray for, but somebody got to have their mind made up that this is what they want. And it's not because, you got a tap on your shoulder or anybody came to tell you, like, look here, fight for your marriage. Because some people, listen here, the Lord himself told you to fight for your marriage and you still struggling to fight. You got the word from the Lord to say fight for your marriage, and you still struggling to fight. So, for those of you who trying to be super spiritual and say the Lord didn't tell me, see, that's why we got to weed out the situation right now. Make up in your mind. What do you want to do? Do you want your family or not? Simple. This scene located in Genesis chapter nothing verse nothing. Question I am asking you, do you want this? Do you want it? Do you want what God want? It's a whole question, guys. You got to make up in your mind. I made up in my mind that first of all, the reason for me fighting for my marriage was because I didn't want to be 20 something years young and divorced. And I didn't want my kids to be calling another man daddy, right? And then through all of that, I didn't want my marriage no more, but I wanted what God wanted. I wanted what God wanted, and that trumped how I felt. So I stuck in just because I wanted what God wanted. So you got to make up your mind. You got to make up your mind. Once you have made up in your mind, you got to be determined that no matter what, you gonna do what you got to do. My husband act crazy, but I'm still gonna make him a good meal tonight. My husband act crazy, but I'm still going to decree and declare life over him. I'm still going to prophesy. You got to, being consistent means you have the whole thing, make up in your mind. Because see, some of the things why you're not consistent is because your actions, your activities are based on your circumstances. You're only praying because y'all at a good space. You're only praying because you feel like praying. You only speaking this because you feel like doing. But what about times when you don't feel like doing it? Are you gonna not do it? Because see, the enemy works within your emotions, and that's why people get defeated all the time. Because I don't feel like it. I mean, I know many of y'all don't feel like going to work either, but you still go because you need to make that money. When I was speaking life over my husband, look, I was speaking life and rolling my head, rolling my eyes. But listen here, I made up in my mind that I would forgive my husband, right? And my pastor at the time, he said, if you say that you're going to forgive your husband, he said, you can't bring up the past. He said, if you made up in your mind that you're going to forgive your husband, you can't throw this in his face. So you know what I had to do? I had to suck it up. I wanted to say stuff, you guys, and I wanted to bring up some things, but guess what? I couldn't say it because I already made up in my mind that I wasn't going to do it. And what happened? There were times, like I already told you all, I had legit reason to say some stuff. But because I had made up my mind and I already committed, I dedicated that I wasn't going to throw anything in his face, I didn't. Not that I didn't feel like it. I felt like it plenty times, you guys. But you cannot let your feelings dedicate what you got to do. Am I making sense, you guys? You cannot let how you feel dictate. You can't let your feelings dictate your actions. I feel discouraged, so I ain't praying no more. I feel discouraged. My husband acting crazy, so I ain't speaking life no more. Ouch. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm coming off of your toes right now. I am coming off of your toes right now, guys. Right now. Well, let me just get this out, and I'm going to be off your toes. You want to be consistent? Do not let your emotions dictate to you what you're going to do. Do not let your emotions dictate what you're going to say. Because if you do, I assure you, you are going to wreck your house with your mouth. We say this all the time. Life and death lies in the power of our tongue. But do you believe that? Come on now. Do you guys really believe it? Do you really believe that life and death lies in the power of your tongue? Come on now. It's time to be honest. And if you don't really believe it, come on now. Just, Lord, help my unbelief. Lord, help my unbelief. Lord, help my unbelief. Because guess what? You got to speak these stuff in faith. And speaking it in faith means I believe what I say can happen. I believe. Speak it in faith. And something I tell people all the time. This is why I say write out your prayer. Write out your declarations. Guess what? It don't matter how you feel, say it. I know that it's difficult to say things in the midst of how you're feeling. I understand that. So that's why I write it down. So being super spiritual, me and my client today was talking in my coaching sessions, we trying to be innovative with our prayer, right? We want to be creative and innovative with prayer. Like we want to come up with something new all the time. That's not necessary, guys. That's not necessary. You don't have to have a special prayer every time you open your mouth to pray. The important matter is that you got to believe what you prayed, and you got to be consistent with your prayer. You got to look here. You got to break the walls down. Come on, somebody. You got to break the barriers down. You got to knock until it open. So to be consistent, make up in your mind what you gonna do. You gonna do this or you ain't gonna do this. And do not let your emotions dictate to you what you do or what you say. If you keep these two things in mind, you're going to be okay. Just that, look here, I ain't give you all 5 steps. I give you 2 steps. Make up in your mind what you're going to do, right? And then, what the other ones? Oh gosh, see, I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. Make up your mind what you're going to do, right? And do not let your emotions dictate what you do or what you say. Amen. That's it. Be consistent, even when you don't see the results immediately. I wish I could record you guys how my husband was hopping up and down the other day, like a kid in a candy store. Oh my gosh, baby, do you remember when you said this? Do you remember when you prayed that? Do you remember? Do you remember? Uh, yes, I recorded my declarations and play them back and pray in tongues when I feel ready. I'm weary. Amen. Amen. Yes, you guys. Anyhow, you guys, that's all I got to say. Anybody have any questions before I go? Anybody have any questions? I know I haven't been on in a minute. And someone say, Meltari, I miss you. Yes, I miss you guys too. I love coming on here, to speak to you guys. But I definitely love to be led by, the Holy Spirit. I don't want to come out there blowing no air. Miss this live being at work. Oh, well, listen here. Watch the replay. We're going to be on replay. We are going to be on the replay. Be consistent even when you don't see the results immediately. If anything that I would tell you, that one thing, with all the information that is out there, one thing that I would say, don't give up. Wonderful to hear your voice, your blessing. Thank you so much. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. Be consistent. How do we fight in the spirit and in the natural when divorce is filed? Well, you particularly don't have to worry about fighting in the natural. Fighting when divorce is filed is same as any other thing. Sometimes you guys overthink things and you think that things change because of a circumstance. Listen here, you pray and believe and you continue to war just as you were if divorce wasn't filed. If divorce wasn't filed, how would you be praying? How would you believe? How would you be doing spiritual warfare? It's not divorce isn't like like this major thing that was okay. Now the divorce is filed, I have to shift my strategy. No, you don't. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Shooks, the people who already defiled is a joke. People who already divorced, I given them the same information, same strategies. Spiritual warfare strategies don't change because of, divorce. It's the same thing. Does it make sense? Does that make sense? Anybody else have any questions? Any other questions? Before I go, before I leave, if you're on for the first time, be sure to go to my website, empoweringwise.com, and subscribe. Subscribe to my website, you guys. Anybody have any questions? I want you guys to be encouraged and, for those of you who may be feeling a bit discouraged, sometimes feeling discouraged and you feel sad. You feel sad about being discouraged, right? You feel like a disappointment because you got discouraged. You have to remember that you're a part spirit and part flesh, and the flesh is going to get discouraged. Thank you for the encouragement for those that have been filed on. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for the encouragement. You've been a big blessing to me. Fight, not give up. Awesome, awesome. I'm glad that I've been a blessing to you and an encouragement to you to not give up. Glory be to God. Anybody else have any questions before I go? Well, listen here, you guys. I'm definitely happy that you all 54 of you hopped on this spontaneous broadcast. So I'm so thankful that you decided to come on. For those of you who will be watching the replay, I am glad that you watched the replay. Miss you. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad. Well, not glad to be missed, but it's glad folk be noticed you gone. Thanks for this. Awesome, awesome. Glad that it's been a blessing. Be consistent even when you do not see results. Okay, you guys, since nobody have any questions, thank you guys for coming on. Have an amazing evening. I believe that I will be back again in a few days. So, you guys have an awesome week. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please share the broadcast. Visit my website, empoweringwives.com. Have an awesome evening, you guys.